Hello, America. I'm Eric Erickson. It is Veterans Day, November 11th, 2025, and these are the four things you need to know before you get home this evening. Up first, actually, thank you, those of you who are serving, those of you who have served. Thank you for your service in the military. Now, news number one. Democrats are still furious with Chuck Schumer. Schumer is ceding the ground with lots of stories that he had nothing to do with the surrender. He did not want the surrender, absolutely demanded that the Democrats stay shut down, and nobody's believing him. Because privately, most people understand Chuck Schumer has in the past opposed government shutdowns, and he constructed this one and gave his blessing to something without a plan. In fact, the angst among Democrats is not so much that Chuck Schumer allowed the government to reopen, it's that Chuck Schumer never advised them of how to get anything when they shut it down. They went into this without a plan, and the Republican plan was very simple. Don't give in to the Democrats and force division within the Democratic ranks headed into the midterms. That's exactly what happened, and now the Democrats got outmaneuvered. Up next, states are starting to reconsider redistricting. The New York Times has a very interesting report. Kansas Republicans are thinking we don't actually want to redistrict in Kansas. City Republicans, suburban Republicans, rural Republicans in Kansas saying they don't really have the votes for it. In Indiana, the same thing. There aren't the votes in the state Senate for redistricting. And now in Maryland, Democrats are going through the same thing. Why? Well, the states have decided that it's actually too dangerous in this environment to redistrict, not in terms of violence, but in terms of losing votes. Given the election results of the off-off years, Republicans are worried that if you take a R plus 12 district down to R plus 5, you could actually turn it into a D plus 1 district next year with the midterms. Democrats were in Maryland think if it goes the other way, you could risk actually creating a new Republican district by accident, even though on paper it's a Democratic district. They're all flying blind. The results on Tuesday night's elections last week have discombobulated things, and Republicans and Democrats around the country hitting the brakes now, saying redistricting outside of the normal decennial census redistricting is a bridge too far for them. Up next, airlines are still disrupted because of the shutdown, and they probably will be up through Thanksgiving. Major airlines warning that they have shifted so many people around and moved so many planes around and canceled routes and reassigned routes that it's going to take them weeks to untangle the mess made by the government shutdown. Airlines are really worried about air traffic controllers coming back to work who have been out, and also the air traffic controllers who were there who are exhausted, not to mention TSA agents. Life is returning to normal, but the airlines, it's going to take them a while to actually get there, all thanks to the Democratic shutdown. Lastly, the president is signaling that if he has to unwind the tariffs because of a Supreme Court decision, it would cost $3 trillion. Now, here's a problem for the president in saying it's $3 trillion to unwind tariffs. His Solicitor General, John Sauer, told the Supreme Court the tariffs were not real revenue generators. So if the tariffs were not real revenue generators, how would it take $3 trillion to unwind the tariffs? And if it does cost $3 trillion to unwind a tariff that's not a revenue generator, isn't that a major question that Congress should ask? If it costs $3 trillion to unwind an executive policy, that does bring into play the major questions doctrine that the Supreme Court is actually questioning John Sauer about. In the Supreme Court, the president's own words saying it would take $3 trillion to unwind the tariffs undermine his tariffs on a constitutional basis. It wasn't a smart thing for him to say. And also, if it does cost $3 trillion, we probably don't want an executive branch agency or the president himself doing something that costs $3 trillion to the government without Congress having input. Those are the four things you need to know, and this fifth. My wife's cancer scans were great today. Thanks very much for your prayers. She's dealing with just some of the side effects of the medicine. She's one of the people who's been on this medicine longer than almost anyone, and she's real tired right now. Her body is, and she's recovering and trying to get energy, and they're working with her. But the scans were good. The cancer, it's in her lungs. They can't get it out of her lungs, but they've kept it from spreading from her lungs, and it's not growing in her lungs, and that's what we want. So she's got very small tumors, and they've stayed very small tumors with no growth and no new tumors. So thank you very much for your prayers. I'm Eric Erickson. These are the four things you need to know this afternoon before you get home. Please stay informed, stay engaged. Above all else, please keep the faith.